Welcome back to the channel. I've got a Blu Ray update for you guys. Got about 12 titles here that I've watched and wanted to kind of give you my thoughts on them. First up is a Vinegar Syndrome release for Scream in the Streets, which is a early 70s roughie. It's X-rated, but I mean, it's more like a softcore porn. I don't really consider it X-rated, but Harry Novak directed it. And it stars Angela Carnan, who is an interesting character. She went on to be... she did a few things. I mean, nothing great, but she was in Police Woman and Psycho from Texas, things like that. And Guess What Happened to Count Dracula, which I've never seen. Apparently that's a pretty terrible. The storyline is it's more like a police drama. They're looking for a serial killer rapist, and they're really looking for a transvestite woman who played by Con Covert, and he was really pretty good at it. He actually went on to be in Repo Man, and look for a cameo from Chuck Norris as a martial arts instructor. It was okay. I gave it a 5 out of 10. Nothing special, but. It's light on special features. There's 2 shorts on here. But other than that, it's a decent release. Probably nothing I'll go back to. Next up is something that I really did enjoy. I love Bruno Mattei, man. Strike Commando. This was fun as hell. I know it's not good. I realize it's not good. But there's just some charm about this. Reb Brown plays this survivor of a Vietnam mission, and he's ordered to go by his commanding officers to photograph Soviets. It's hilarious. I give it a 8 out of 10 just for the cheese entertainment factor. It's so inept, but it has charm. I mean, you know what you're gonna get with this movie. Like in the first opening scene, Reb Brown is trying to break into this camp, and it's basically, the camp is surrounded by what looks like just a home fence. I mean, it's a small metal fence, and anyway, they're using these cutters to cut the fence, and it's clear from many of the scenes that these guys could have just jumped the fence. It's I mean, you know it's classic ineptitude that I just loved it. If you're highly sensitive, which a lot of people are today, as far as social stuff and wokeness and all that stuff, you probably want to skip this one. One of the characters is named Sam Bello, and he tells his group, you know, I used to pick watermelons in Alabama or some shit. I mean, steal watermelons in Alabama. I mean, oh my God, it's just you just want to shake your head at some of this stuff. It's unreal. But Bruno Mattei, man, God love him. I don't think he means any harm. It's just hilarious. It's comedic in a way that's not intended to be comedic. This has an interview with the screenwriter Claudio Fragassi, and then an All Quiet on the Philippine Front interview with a co-writer. Good stuff from Severin. And then I followed that up with Strike Commando 2, which was a real drop-off for me. This one wasn't nearly as entertaining. First off, Reb Brown gets replaced by a guy named Ben Huff, I think. I think that's his name. Brent Huff. And he is no Reb Brown at all. Then you get Richard Harris in this, and you're thinking, well, shit, now we're upgrading the quality of this thing, but he just goes through the motions. Basically, Richard Harris plays this commander that's been kidnapped, and Brent Huff has to go save him. It was not nearly as good as the first film. I gave it a 5 out of 10. It's not horrible. This also has an interview with Claudio Fragassi, and he talks about this film had some problems compared to the first one, and you can definitely see that. Okay. Next up, No One Heard the Scream. 1973. This is another Seven release directed by Elo Iglesia, who also did Horror Express. This is an interesting film. A woman sees this man, uh, throw this woman down an elevator shaft. And essentially, what happens is they become codependent and they help each other. She ends up trying to help him, initially under the threat of he's going to kill her if she doesn't help. But they become very codependent. Very interesting movie. But they're trying to get rid of this body. I thought it was a really good film. I enjoyed it. 7 out of 10. This has an interview with film scholar Dr. Andy Willis, but that's about it. But good stuff here. No one heard the scream. All right, next up, let's look at Carol Baker and the Fourth Victim, another Severin title. This is a giallo about a woman who is found suspiciously drowned, and her husband, who also has had strange deaths with previous wives. So he is obviously the initial focus of the police investigation. Things take an ugly or strange twist and turn when Carol Baker shows up and starts flirting with him. The film has a lot of twists and turns, and I thought it just got kind of illogical and ridiculous towards the end. It's not a bad giallo per se, but it's probably a one and done for me. I just thought I thought the silly wrap up was really silly, much sillier than, giallos in general end up kind of crazy off the wall as far as what happens and illogic. But this one just didn't resonate with me. I still gave it a 6 out of 10. It wasn't bad. This has an interview with Eugenio Martin. Eugenio Martin, of course, is a pretty prolific director. I'm sorry, he did Horror Express. I got that confused. He also did A Candle for the Devil. Iglesias did not do Horror Express. Next up is a film that I just reviewed, and you can check that out on my Franco playlist, and that's The Other Side of the Mirror, a classic Franco film from Mondo. Loved the film. 9 out of 10, one of his best. Enough said on that. And then next up is a Vinegar Syndrome release of Blades. I may have talked about this before. This is a killer lawnmower. It's silly as shit. I mean, it's an entertaining one-time watch. This is from 1989, directed by Thomas Rendella. It's a comedy. I just thought the comedy really didn't hit for me. It was obviously intended to be kind of a spoof of slasher films, but it falls flat for me. It was kind of lifeless. It's really a rip-off the Jaws storyline, Bruno Mattei style, but without the character or without the charm of Bruno Mattei. It didn't work for me, but I know some people like it. It does have a commentary track. Actually, it has 2 commentary tracks. And it's a new 2K scan. I gave it a 5 out of 10. Next up is another Severin release, and that is Lady Executioner from this is Bridget LaHaye. This is a kind of another lifeless film, to be honest with you. She plays a cop searching for a kidnapping of a young girl by a gang of pornographers. So you got this sleazy pornography element in it. It's not a bad watch. I gave it a 6 out of 10. The story drags a bit. It's flatly acted. Michael Caputo directed it. This has an interview with the director, and it also has an interview with Bridget LaHaye, and then a location. Look, it also has a short film as well. Decent release though. I enjoyed it as a one-time deal. 6 out of 10. Next up is another Severin release that was part of that bundle, All About Evil. This is a 2010 slasher spoof comedy about a girl that inherits a movie theater, and she starts bumping people off at the theater. You got drag queens. It's kind of like Pink Flamingos and a slasher film combined, really. Decent one-time watch. A guy named Joshua Grinnell directed it. I thought the kills were decent, but I think the comedy elements were a little forced. Comedy's hard. I think comedy in general is hard to do. The acting is very shaky in this one, but I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's a loaded release. Look at those special features. I mean, endless audio commentaries, multiple audio commentaries, a Q&A. There's just all kinds of stuff in here. There's a soundtrack on this as well. Loaded release for really what is kind of an average film, to be honest with you. Next up is Barbara Steele and An Angel for Satan, which is a film I pride myself on watching 60s horror. This is from 66. But I've never seen this one. Directed by Camille Mastronique, and he did Crypt of the Vampire with Christopher Lee, which I love. That's a great film. Basically, this is about a statue that's recovered, and the villagers in this believe the statue is causing all these terrible things to occur. It's very tepid, honestly. It's a gothic mood piece. Barbara Steele is Barbara Steele as usual, but it's really kind of dull, I thought. I just wasn't in the mood for it. I thought I gave it a 6 out of 10. It's not a bad movie. It's just dull. It really never reached a peak for me. This has an audio commentary track, which was very good. 2 audio commentary tracks, actually. And then an interview with one of the actors. Barbara Steele, I think, is on one of the tracks, and she's entertaining as hell. All right, next up is another Severin release. That's Libido. Another giallo. This is, I believe, a Spanish giallo by Ernesto Gastaldi. And this is a murder for inheritance plot. It's a solid giallo. But again, it's a time-honored story about inheritance and murder that goes along with it. It has a very gothic atmosphere, which I enjoyed. And this one has some really nice last act twists to it. So I gave it a 7 out of 10. This has a commentary with Kat Ellinger, and then an interview with the director. I would definitely recommend picking up Libido. Good stuff. And next up is a film that probably is going to get some surprises from people. Day of Judgment from Severin, which is a 1981. It's listed as a slasher film, but it's really a melodrama. But I liked it. I liked it a lot. I gave it a 7 out of 10. But if you're going into this looking for a slasher or a horror film, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Directed by Charles Reynolds. It's really a character study. And what I liked about it is all the characters in this film were interesting. Every single one. Ultimately, there are kills in this, but that's not the point. The real point of the story is you've got a lot of people they're just flawed individuals. This whole town has very flawed individuals with a lot of skeletons in their closet, and ultimately their day of judgment does come, but it's much more about the interaction of these flawed characters. So if you're going, like I say, if you're going into this looking for a gory slasher film, you're going to be bored to death. But if you like melodrama and you like character studies, you're going to love it, like I did. This has Stephen Thrower interview, and he likes it as well a whole lot. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Thought it was great. Next up is a film I've reviewed on my channel, Jess Franco's Mansion of the Living Dead. I've already done 2 reviews of this. Great film about the Spanish. It's a really kind of a Tombs of the Blind Dead play, a zombie film, which, Franco's not a big fan of zombies, but he does a great job in this one. And this has an interview with Stephen Thrower. 7 out of 10. Highly recommend Mansion of the Living Dead. And then finally, a film that I know a lot of people like. I just don't know why, and that's Midnight. John Russo directed film. Man, this was a chore for me. I just don't get it. Don't understand why people like this. I thought the acting was horrendous, borderline brutal, man. And really, it's back to my same theme for me. When I watch a slasher film, I want to see good kills and interesting characters. If you can give me those two things, I'm probably going to be happy. We don't have interesting kills here. They're terrible. The kills are inept looking, and there's no, the acting is flat and bad. There's nobody of interest in this thing. Don't get it. Don't understand why people see there's charm in this. But hey, it's just me. I really kind of was pretty harsh with my rating on this one. I think I gave it a 3 out of 10. Let me just check. I just can't recommend this one. 3 out of 10. Yeah. Midnight. That'll go in the never watch pile. Okay. A quick update. If you've got any of those titles or want to make some comments, and I would appreciate it, leave it in the comment field below. Thanks for watching.